So today we're talking about fat activist Virgie Tovar, and this woman really pisses me off because the only thing that she does with her activism is actively hurt people after she preys on their insecurity. Welcome back to the show. This is Anna, and I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, well, hi friends. Welcome to the Beauty of an Ulta Beauty podcast, where we talk with and learn from pioneers that are helping us redefine what beauty is and where beauty lives. I am David Lopez. I want to let everyone know that this is a safe zone. It is a judgment-free zone where we honor curiosity and respect in all forms. I want to welcome our guest, Virgie Tovar, author, scholar, activist. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, well, I guess I can see why they want to make a new definition for beauty. Can you see any quality or aggregate of qualities in all of the fat rolls on this face that bring pleasure to your senses?
Can you talk more about the difference between maybe fat phobia and fat activism and maybe the intersections between the two?
Yeah, so I mean, fat phobia is a form of bigotry, right? And a lot of people don't know that because we've been taught that our attitudes towards higher weight people are rightfully negative because of health reasons.
Right.
Well, there have been some stories recently, such as the death of academic and activist Dr. Kat Hosse, who was a fat activist, and Jamie Lopez, reality TV star from Supersized Salon, who died at age 37. This was after she had lost 400 pounds. Not to mention Life by Jen, who we talked about in a recent video. And all of these stories give me the idea that this whole fat girl not on a diet, fat girl who's not interested in losing weight mentality is something to look at in a very negative way.
Right. And so we've got this, I could go into this for a million years. I will parenthetically say that our notion of health is deeply flawed, problematic, and kind of living in the 1800s. Like the BMI was invented in the 1800s, okay?
First of all, I don't think I've ever heard anybody else sound so much like Cher from the movie Clueless, just putting that out there. But my husband actually heard that last clip and added in the fact that electricity was actually discovered in the 1800s as well. So, maybe we shouldn't take electricity seriously. Maybe we should just get rid of that.
Okay.
By European men.
But yeah, yes. By like this Belgian mathematician. He wasn't even a physician, and he ended up becoming the grandfather of eugenics.
I'm really not sure what the fact that he was Belgian had to do with it. They're sounding a little bit racist there. But I did a little research into this guy, and here's what I found. A website called Focus on Belgium says, did you know that the body mass index was invented by the Belgian mathematician Lambert Adolphe Quetelet? He was a Belgian mathematician, astronomer, naturalist, and statistician, a pioneer of demographic study and founder of the Royal Observatory of Belgium. Sure, maybe that website focused all on Belgium could be a little biased, so let's look at PubMed.gov from the National Library of Medicine. They said the quest for a practical index of relative body weight that began shortly after actuaries reported the increased mortality, or death, of their overweight policyholders culminated after World War II. Adolphe Quetelet was a Belgian mathematician, astronomer, and statistician who developed a passionate interest in probability calculus that he applied to study human physical characteristics. Sounds pretty scientific to me. His pioneering cross-sectional studies of human growth led him to conclude that other than the spurts of growth after birth and during puberty, the weight increases as the square of the height, known as the Quetelet Index, until it was termed the BMI in 1972 by Ansel Keys. The History of Economic Thought website calls him the founding father of modern statistics, not eugenics. I did find one very biased-looking article called The Bizarre and Racist History of the BMI, and their whole point was that Quetelet was credited with co-founding the School of Positive Criminology with this guy named Lombroso, and they linked to an article about him in which Quetelet's name could not even be found. So I just gave up on trying to see their point at that point. And all that I really could find about Cattellett in criminology was that he found that people with more education tended to commit less crime on the whole, but they also tended to commit more violent crime. He therefore argued that increased education itself would not reduce crime. Wow, sounds very scary and racist.
So, like, just to contextualize how we're defining health, it's by a Belgian mathematician from 1830,
Right.
who was the grandfather of eugenics. So,
Yeah.
end parentheses. So, like, you know,
Virgie, you failed that one, and a secondhand cringe is extremely thick.
right? Like, in fact, fat phobia is an actual legitimate form of discrimination. It aligns with other types of discrimination, like around race or gender or any number of marginalized identities.
So this disgusting woman really just compared people being discriminated against and bullied and whatnot for immutable characteristics that they can't change, that they were born with, like skin color, to her being made fun of or whatever because she's a fat slob who doesn't take care of herself and made herself ugly by eating too much. Those things are not comparable, and she's an awful person.
In the sense that, it's largely a belief system that isn't really based in evidence or data or science, but that is socially condoned and creates an idea of some people are better than others.
Right.
Right.
Wrong. That's actually all in your dreams, Virgie.
So that's that. I mean, fat activism is sort of the response to fat phobia. It's essentially kind of an intersectional politic that looks at fat phobia and says, this is wrong. There's nothing wrong with being fat.
Wrong again. Fat people are suffering with decreased mobility, increased sicknesses. Just look at Amber Lynn and how sick she is all the time. And increased pain from all of the extra pressure on their joints. Just look back at the interview that I did with my friend who had lost a lot of weight, and she'll tell you all these things.
And I think I want to say, right, like our current cultural attitude is that the solution to fat phobia is for fat people to become thin people. And we were never, I'm not a thin person. There's not secretly a thin person inside of me.
So I'm pretty sure that this woman is actually delusional enough to believe that she was born as a fat person and it's just not possible for her to ever be thin, as if she was born with brown eyes and it's not possible for them to ever biologically be blue. That's concerning.
There's, you know what I mean? There's this prevailing myth, and this is so important, right? Even people who understand what fat phobia is and really don't want to perpetuate ideas of fat phobia, they might still believe that a fat person is secretly a thin person.
Where do you see the intersection? Really, what is your definition of health?
Yeah, that's really complicated, right? I think I want to talk about that question, but I want to start by saying that, no one has to be healthy. No, right? Like, I mean, it's like, no, like there is no governing body that's like out there putting, you know what I mean? It's like no one owes anybody that.
So I would say that if you are a parent with one or more young children at home, that you owe it to your children to be healthy, because in order to take care of them, which is your duty, you got to take care of yourself. So there's that.
And I want to back up and bring in intersectionality and say, like, right, like, look at the disabled community, right? Like, I think people with disabilities and activists within that space have consistently been saying, like, I'm never going to be your notion of healthy. That doesn't mean I don't get to be a full human. You get to treat me some kind of way.
Yeah, somebody who was born blind or deaf, or who ended up with a life-changing injury due to an accident that wasn't their fault, etc., is not the same as somebody who became immobile because they ate too much. Like, shut up, Virgie.
So for me, right, like I always go back to notions of like what we know that humans need is they are connection, acceptance, love, comfort, affirmation, right? We know this is what we give to children. That's what every human being needs. And so anything that isn't in that wheelhouse isn't promoting health in my mind. And I want to bring in like actually like a friend who's a PhD in nutrition, and she brought up this incredible question to me, and she was like, if science isn't serving humanitarian ends, then what is the point that we're doing? Like, what's the point of it? And it's like, right, because are we making science for aliens? For like some, I mean, like, what are we, you know what I'm saying? So if by our scientific notion of whatever health is right now, if that's excluding 68% of the population, which is like the plus size population, if that's excluding 70-ish% of the US population, then it's not working.
It's not working.
So apparently Virgie wants to redefine science as well because she thinks that 70% of the population is fat, which I hope is not the case. I know that not that much is nearly as big as her, at least. But, yeah, it's her brain that's not working, and apparently that guy as well. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.